Do the A's have two prospects that will create a jam that is imminent?
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday and welcome to the Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney. That's right, one name. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland time, Vegas time, and yes, Sacramento time. Whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or just listening casually during the day, thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. I do have two important announcements that you may be interested in. First, since this show is where the fan takes center stage, what better idea than to have a Fan Friday? This is where any A's fan can join me as a co-host on episodes that post on Friday to talk anything and everything A's baseball. You can email us at lockedona's@gmail.com or message us at Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Locked On A's. Secondly, attention all A's fans. Think you know everything about the A's? Prove it. Join us for a live Locked On trivia show. Go head to head with other fans and test your A's knowledge. Spots are limited. DM or email us to sign up. Let's see who the ultimate A's trivia champ is. On today's show, I like interesting facts about franchises. Things that you would never know or things that kind of just make you go, That's exactly what we're going to do with the A's franchise and dive into some things that you would never have known before. That's later on. MLB winter meetings are only a few weeks away, and there already have been a number of transactions the A's have made. Let's get you caught up on that and all updated free agent or trade rumors that are out there. First, the A's have two of baseball's top prospects, and under usual circumstances, that's a good thing. The problem with the A's is that they both play the same position. Is that a problem? And is it time to look at possibilities of moving one of them? Today's episode is brought to you in part by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. The more Nick Kurtz swings the bat, the more his stock seems to rise. I have talked about him on multiple of occasions, and it is the same old story. The kid just mashes. Scouts say the number overall pick out of Wake Forest last year is as advertised. Big, physical, advanced knowledge of how to hit, what to hit, when to hit, athletic, and is a great defender at first base. The problem the A's possibly can foresee happening is that Nick Kurtz is a first baseman. Well, how is that a problem? Well, the A's already have a great prospect at first base in Tyler Soderstrom. These two crossing paths is imminent. It will happen, and it will happen sooner than you think. So what's the solution here? Or is there a solution, or is there a problem to even begin with? Potentially, you can have a problem. If you have both Soderstrom and Kurtz fighting for playing time at one position. Do you trade one of them while their value is still high? Or do you risk a potential logjam that leaves one of these guys sitting on the bench? You have Kurtz, power hitting first baseman with solid bat plus raw power and plate discipline. Known for driving the ball in all parts of the field, has been a leader in OBP and home run numbers. Projected as a middle of the order hitter, which is valuable for the A's rebuilding efforts. On the other hand, Tyler Soderstrom, a versatile player, originally a catcher, but has been primarily used at first base. He is highly rated for his athleticism, bat speed, with potential to hit for both average and power. Similar to Kurtz, he's shown flashes of being an impact hitter in the big leagues. Like I said, both of them play best at first base, and it's likely neither would be well suited to shifting positions without a loss in value. Moving Soderstrom to catcher right now is tough because Silver Slugger Shea Langoliers is behind the plate, and I don't see anybody replacing him anytime soon. First base is generally not a position where teams want to rotate players. It's typically occupied by a consistent power hitting player. Let's break down the main options. Okay, 1, we can trade one of them. The pros, it capitalizes on their current value while they're still top prospects. It could yield a return that fills other critical gaps for the A's. Starting pitching, a third baseman. We are in dire need of both. Cons. The cons are pretty obvious. If they trade the wrong player, they risk losing a star talent who could impact the league. Option 2, try them at other positions. I don't see Kurtz playing anywhere but first base. I don't see him as an outfielder without being a liability. Could he sneak into a DH role here and there? Absolutely. But every day in the field, Kurtz is a first baseman, and he is a good first baseman. Now, what I could see is Soderstrom possibly moving to third base. He would need to learn the position. He is right-handed. He has the skills of a catcher. Is that doable? Maybe. But most importantly, it would keep both their bats in the lineup. Now, the cons of that. Both Kurtz and Soderstrom have primarily developed their skills for first base. Again, Soderstrom was a catcher. If anybody was likely to make a change in the field, it would be Soderstrom. But in order to make this change, it can't come with being a liability in the field. Option 3, platoon. The only way I could really see a platoon happening is with Rooker, Langoliers, Kurtz, and Soderstrom, meaning maybe Langoliers needs a day off, Soderstrom goes behind the dish, Rooker goes in the outfield, one of them DHs, something like that, where you could platoon all 4 of them. But again, you're not going to really want to take Langoliers or Rooker out of the lineup too often. But sure, I could see a potential, let's give Rooker a day off, let's give Langoliers a day off behind the plate and having it go that way. But again, you're going to want to see Langoliers and Rooker in the lineup every single day. And with Soderstrom and Kurtz both being left-handed hitters, I don't see that working too well. Also, it could dampen trade value as neither of them gets a full-time starting role. Given the A's recent history of rebuilding and the high value of prospects, trading one might be the smartest move. Let's break it down without you going nuts, because I'm not too excited about it either. But for this exercise, let's explore all possible options. The idea is to get the roster as a whole better. Trading Nick Kurtz. What might happen? Kurtz has incredible power and could be a great fit for a team needing an MLB-ready first baseman and a young prospect. I think every team in all of baseball would take Kurtz right now if they had an opportunity. But the potential return is what we got to look at. Could yield a high-ranking prospect in a more critical position for the A's. Again, like a starting pitcher, like an infielder, a third baseman. But the risk, trading away a power hitter like Kurtz, could backfire. He's going to end up being a consistent 30 home run player elsewhere. No question. And if he played at Yankee Stadium, he'll probably hit 50. Trading Tyler Soderstrom, what might happen? Soderstrom's versatility and experience as a catcher make him very appealing, even if first base is his best position right now. Potential return. Teams are likely to view Soderstrom as the more versatile, MLB-ready option and might be willing to part with higher-level prospects or a young pitcher. Risk. Soderstrom has shown flashes of elite hitting and could potentially develop into a perennial all-star. Trading him could mean losing that upside. The A's have a unique chance to get the highest value return if they trade one of them before they're locked into a starting role. The value of both players could decrease if one ends up stuck on the bench. So what should the A's do? Given the A's rebuilding position, maximizing value is critical. Trading one of these players could provide the depth and versatility that the roster desperately needs. However, holding on to both and seeing how they perform in a platoon role could also work. This might be a unique scenario where the A's see what they have, develop both, and trade one if a significant return becomes available. So do the A's keep both and try to fit them into the lineup, or do they cash in on one of these top prospects while their value is still high? It's a high-stakes decision for the A's, and the answer could shape their future. Speaking of trade rumors and transactions, a lot has gone on. MLB winter meetings a few weeks away. Let's see what's cooking up next. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. When I personally look at a sports book, there are two things that are most important to me. Is it easy to deposit? And more importantly, is it easy to withdraw? FanDuel checks both boxes for me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. MLB winter meetings are just a few weeks away. And as usual, rumors are starting to fly on what free agents the A's will possibly sign or what trades the A's may be inclined to do. First, let's get caught up on a couple of transactions the A's have already made. First, left-hander TJ McFarland is returning to the A's and has signed a one-year contract with the A's. Last year, he appeared in 79 games with a 3.81 ERA. McFarland is a veteran arm, dependable in any role you give him, whether you want him to come in a high leverage situation or pitch bulk innings. He's a good clubhouse guy. He blends well with the young crew the A's already have. Love the signing. McFarland is dependable. He knows his role. A good chemistry guy, and definitely has the numbers and has the ability to get guys out in all situations. The A's have also picked up Anthony Maldonado off waivers from the Marlins. He mostly worked as an opener for the Marlins and appeared in relief. Numbers weren't great as he was optioned up and down from AAA to the big leagues last year. Had an ERA of 5.68 and 19 innings for the Marlins. And the word is he has a big upside. The A's have also picked up Justin Sterner from the Devil Rays, who made his big league debut last year. Tossed 4 innings in 2 games, allowing 1 earned run. and 5 hits. Another guy, again, that is reported to have a big upside, and we may see him next year in Sacramento. Major League Trade Rumors.com recently posted their top 50 free agents along with predictions of where the free agents will land and for how much. It's basically a panel of 4 that predict the landing spot and the amount of money they'll get paid for each of the top 50 free agents they have listed. On top of that, they had a podcast that went through their list as well. They spoke about the A's and made an interesting point. They emphasized that the A's do have money and believe the A's will be a good landing spot for the player that is not happy with what he is being offered, regardless if the A's are in Sacramento playing in a minor league park. At the end of the day, it is about dollars and cents. Just ask John Fisher. In their top 50, the A's showed up, I believe, 8 times in their prediction. The 18th ranked free agent, Jeff Hoffman, who is the reliever for the Phillies, is estimated to go for 4 years and $44 million. Hoffman appeared in 68 games for the Phillies, had a 2.17 ERA, and the 1-2 punch of Hoffman in the 8th and Mason Miller in the 9th would be no doubt one of the best in baseball. I personally would love a Jeff Hoffman signing. The only thing is 4 years, $44 million. If that's accurate, I don't know if the A's are willing to go that long. But at the same time, the only real holding grace to that is under the Fisher era, the second largest contract he's ever given has gone to a reliever, which they kind of overpaid for. Ryan Madsen from 2016 to 2018 was given $22 million over 3 years. The number 22 ranked free agent, Carlos Estevez, also from the Phillies, was a big-time reliever for the Angels a few years back, racking up 31 saves, and was solid out of the Phillies' pen. They're predicting 3 years, $27 million for Estevez. The 23rd ranked free agent, Matthew Boyd, is somebody I have spoken about before as a possible landing spot for the A's. Left-handed pitcher for the Guardians who really had his coming out party this last season in the playoffs. And this is the guy I want. I believe his best pitching is ahead of him. He was dominant in the playoffs, and they are predicting 2 years, $25 million. I believe this guy will be a front-end starter for you, and I would love the lefty combination of Sears and Boyd heading up our rotation. He instantly makes us a better team by improving the starting pitching that we need so bad. Number 25, Andrew Heaney from the Rangers, left-hander, who went 5-14 last year with a 4.28 ERA, 2 years, $24 million is the prediction for him. I can go without Andrew Heaney. The 31st ranked free agent, Jose Quintana, lefty from the Mets, 2 years, $20 million. I like Quintana. If they can get him for 2 years, $20 million, and you have 3 lefties, Quintana, Boyd, and Sears, leading up your pitching staff, that's a good solid 3. I think the price is right. I don't think it's overpaying. And Quintana still has a lot of good baseball ahead of him. I like the Quintana signing. Number 40, Andrew Kittredge, setup man for the Cardinals. 2 years, $14 million. Kittredge is tough, real good. Plagued with injuries. But at the same time, if he avoids those injuries, stays healthy, you got a Jeff Hoffman type of setup man with paying a lot less. And number 49 on the list, outfielder Harrison Bader from the Mets, 1 year, $8 million. Bader's tough. He's a scrapper. He gives you everything he has day in and day out. Right-handed hitter, good speed, good defense. The thing is, we already have a packed outfield. The only way this makes sense is if we trade somebody. And I mentioned last week, could JJ Bleday be on the trading blocks? We'll see next month. Out of all the free agents I mentioned, our main need is starting pitching. I would love Quintana. I would love Boyd. And if that's the only moves we make, I'm happy. We have to get our starting rotation in order. That's what killed us last year. We have some young talent that can go to the bullpen and give us the innings we need to get to Miller in the ninth. But our immediate need, and I mean immediate need, is starting pitching. If we get that, we're working with something. You don't want to miss the last segment of the show. Great segment. Interesting facts about the A's franchise. I got 4 really cool stories lined up for you. Stay tuned. This episode is brought to you in part by Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets and more with Game Time picks. I was looking to go to the Golden State Warriors game tomorrow night when the Dallas Mavericks come to town. What I love about the Game Time experience is the all-in pricing feature, where it shows you the total up front of your ticket with no surprise fees at checkout. It's the only ticketing app that gives me complete peace of mind. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Baseball is no question one of the greatest games ever. But baseball, like no other sport, has the greatest stories that go along with it. A lot due to its historic past. And today, I'm going to take a dive down memory lane into the Athletics franchise and some of the tidbits and stories it has in its past that you would have never known, that kind of make you go, Now, many of you have already heard some of these stories, and others may have not. But I promise you, if you have not, these will definitely be very interesting. First story. You have all heard of Mrs. Fields cookies, right? I hope so. Mrs. Fields cookies were founded by Debbie Fields, who was born in Oakland, California in 1956. When she was a teenager, she was hired by the A's to be a ball girl and saved money from being a ball girl to buy her ingredients and supplies to her cookies. She met Randall Fields, who was the founder of the Fields Investment Group, and she went on to marry Randall. Soon after that, the very first ever Mrs. Fields cookies opened in 1977 in Palo Alto, California. Pretty cool. Story 2. Most of you know this individual by the name of MC Hammer, who was Oakland born, but his real name was actually Kirk Burrell. And growing up, MC Hammer performed in the Oakland Coliseum parking lot. Well, one day, late Oakland A's owner Charlie Finley noticed his show and decided to hire him as a bat boy. Well, players started calling him Hammer because they felt he looked somewhat like Henry Aaron. Who would have known? The famous elephant logo we see daily on the A's uniform. Do you know the backstory of the elephant logo? Some of you may know part of it, but do you really know the whole story behind the elephant logo? Well, luckily you're listening. I'm going to tell you it. The elephant logo and its origin actually goes back to 1902. Then manager of the Baltimore Orioles, John McGraw, jumped to the New York Giants, where he was being bombarded with questions. One reporter asked, "What do you think of the Philadelphia A's?" McGraw replied, "The Philadelphia club is not making any money. It has a big white elephant on its hands." Basically saying the A's were more trouble than they were worth. The white elephant then became a rallying cry for the A's, and the A's won the American League Championship that season, a year before the World Series actually started. In 1905, the A's faced John McGraw's Giants in the World Series, and they presented McGraw with a miniature elephant statue. I'm not going to tell you who won the World Series because it doesn't make the story as cool. But ever since, the white elephant has been part of the A's franchise and its history. Last story. In 2020, when COVID was in full effect, baseball was still going on. I'm sure you all remember there were no fans in the stands. They had cardboard cutouts as fans in the stands. One cardboard cutout in the Coliseum was of Oscar-winning actor Tom Hanks, which brought a question by many. Well, when the A's won 3 World Series in a row from 1972 to 1974, Hanks was in high school, and Tom Hanks actually served as a vendor at the Coliseum selling hot dogs, cold drinks, and popcorn. Who would have known? Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thanks for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.